Welcome back. Sleepless night here. Okay, now we're going to do the second half of our basic training video here and answer some of those questions that you've got. Kicking me off the pad here, so you thrust up. So here we are, we're launching, so we thrust up first. Make sure you retract the landing gear. You'll know, there you go, not only will she say that, but if you look across to the right hand side, whoop, beep, 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 there you go, your little blue dot goes on and off. So, let's let this chappie come in. He's flying a Federal dropship. So, here we go. Out we go. So, now that we're out in space, I'll explain a few things. So, first things first, let's get that into shadow so we can see it a bit better. There we go. So let's talk first of all about what you can see in front of you here on the HUD. So on the left hand side there, you've got your target information. So currently we have the Coriolis Starport Somerset Station as our target, right? So that's what we've got highlighted. If we go over here, oh no, that should be locked in. Anyway, there we go. So now you can see in the target information it says LHS 2310. Independent democracy, 5 light years away. Okay, so that's your information. If you lock onto a ship, so there you go. If I lock onto a ship, and let's get him into the center here so that we can perhaps scan the chappie and see what he's all about. No, wait. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. I'm looking at the nav compass instead of the ship. Is he ready to come out? So it tells us that that man is Mark Murphy. Oh, look at that. He's competent and he's wanted. So there you go. So that's where you get your information on that guy there. So that's his information there. Okay. So now if you look at the scanner here, so we look back at the HUD and you can see Mark Murphy's ship there, that Lakon Type 6 transporter just spinning there. The little blue concentric circles around the ship, that's his shield level, and the 100% that it says underneath, that is his hull integrity. And if you look on the opposite side of the scanner, you'll see there's one for us there as well. It will pitch and roll when I pitch and roll, and even yaw. Look at that. So it'll pitch, roll, and yaw. Oh, there he comes. Look, Mark Murphy, wanted. I don't really know how much he's wanted for. Should we see? There we go. Oh no, he's too far away. So no. Yeah. And he's on his way off anyway somewhere. Let's put the hard points away. So, looking then, you can see, there you go, Federal dropship, Terry Hamill, and there is his thing. He's got no shields and his hull integrity is at 99%. Okay, so next to that is a very, very, very important piece of your equipment. Very important indeed. Oh, shut up, lady, will you? That's going to disappear in a moment as he goes into Super Cruise. Yep, off he's gone. There we go, he's disappeared now. So, very important piece of equipment. You'll see that little orange circle there, and in the middle of it, a blue dot. I cannot emphasize this enough. That is one of the most important pieces of equipment you have. That is your navigation compass. Very handy, not only for finding whatever you're targeted on currently, is what that blue dot is, okay? So there you go, we're currently targeted on LHS 2310. Might be 5 light years away, but that is the blue dot in the middle. Now, to show you what happens, so if you turn around, so that that's behind us, you can see that the dot is now hollow. So you got an empty dot there, that means that your target is behind you. Right, so you've got to turn around. So moving across to the scanner, the big thing in the middle. Here we've got your temperature gauge, 50% at the moment. You know when it gets up towards 100 because the nice lady here in the cockpit will start screaming her head off at you. Warning, temperature critical, all those kinds of things. Okay, you've heard her voice several times already. She'll start screaming at you if the temperature gets too high. Believe me, she will. So if you don't keep an eye on it, don't worry. She'll remind you at every opportunity she gets. So in the centre, you can see lots of these little yellow dots, yellow lollipops there. So to explain a little what they are, if we look at the white ones, take a look at a white one. Take a look at the white one. So that is a frameshift wake, I'll bet. Yep, there you go. High energy frameshift wake. Okay. Now a high energy frameshift wake means that that person has just gone into hyperspace. A hyperspace entry leaves a high energy frameshift wake. So you would scan that. He has disappeared off to another system. But let's see if there are any other frameshift wakes before they disappear. Oh, no, that's a high. But if it says low energy frameshift wake, what that is someone who's gone into supercruise, so someone who's travelling within the system. Now, you've probably already gathered for yourself, I'm sure, that the lollipops with the sticks there, if it's above the scanner plane, obviously that means it's above you, like that is right pretty much in the centre now. And if we go up, stick drops means it's below you. Fairly self-explanatory. What isn't quite so obvious to people coming in who, you know, throw away the instructions to all their IKEA furniture or whatever, is that is what is denoted by the triangle or the square. Now, first of all, let's talk about the colours. Yellow is a neutral colour. If there are friendlies on your scanner, they will appear in green. If there are hostiles on your scanner, they will appear red. Fairly self-explanatory, fairly easy. Now, if one of these lollipops has a square, sometimes these are too far away to be able to resolve the difference, but if they have a square, what that means is that their hard points are away, so they don't have their weapons deployed or any of their hard points. It's not necessarily weapons, I don't think, it's hard points in general. If it's a triangle, it means they have hard points deployed. Okay, so it means, generally speaking, that means that their guns are out. Okay. Now, you will see different kinds of these on your scanner scope. So you'll see solid triangles and squares, and you'll see hollow triangles and squares. Now, the solid ones are NPCs. Okay? So you can kill those to your heart's content. Kill as many as you like. It's entirely up to you. It's your choice, your call. There we go. Look, there's an Orca passenger liner. He's clean. Well, he's clean in this system. That's all that means. You know, it says clean. All it means is he's clean in this system. He may be wanted, but if you don't want to take the gamble as to whether or not he is, get yourself a kill warrant scanner and find out for sure. So, talking about the hollow, and so if you see the hollow squares and triangles on the scanner there, what that means is that they are players. So they're other players in game if you see hollow ones. There are nobody else here at the moment, obviously not a very popular place, Somerset Station. Or perhaps not on the day before Christmas Eve, I guess, on the 23rd of December. Maybe everybody's got other things to do. I'm the only one sad enough to be sat here. So, going across, you know, I've talked about your ship. That's fairly self-explanatory. However, now then, this is very important. Very, very important. If you take away nothing else from this tutorial, take away this. The 3 bars that you can see there, it says Sys, Eng, and Wep. So systems, engines, and weapons. Right? I cannot stress this enough. I really can't. Remember this if nothing else. That is very important. Don't overlook it. This is your power distribution. Okay. Now I've heard 1 or 2 people who've said, "Oh, I haven't quite got the hang of power distribution yet. You know, it doesn't seem all that important. I'll just leave it the way it is." Don't. Whether you're using a mouse or keyboard or a game controller or a joystick and throttle, whatever it is that you're using, HOTAS setup, whatever, make sure that you map your power distribution to somewhere that's easy to reach and easy to remember. Because it doesn't matter so much when you're out here, you know, just in the everyday run-of-the-mill stuff. only when you want to get somewhere in a hurry. Let me demonstrate for a moment. Let's so we put the throttle on full there. You can see we're travelling at 210 kilometers per hour. But if I focus up engines, boop boop, that'll boost to, you get extra speed, that'll boost you to 280 kilometers an hour if I boost it with the engines like that, okay? Right. Also, you've got a boost button. Make sure you've got that somewhere handy. That'll save your life on more than one occasion, I guarantee it. Boom, there's your boost button, so that'll give you an extra bit of speed as well. But that will heat your ship up quite often as well. Now, as I turn around here, you see the speed indicator dropping there. As I turn around, take note of something. There's a little blue area on the throttle indicator. Right, the speed indicator there has a blue area on the inside towards the scanner. That is there for a very good reason. That means that as long as your throttle, the needle is in there, as long as it's in the blue, that is the area at which your ship is at its most maneuverable. So at all times, especially in battle, you're going to want to keep that in the blue area. Very, very important. Very important indeed. Do not overlook it. So, back to the power distribution. I'm going to focus on this for just a moment because it's very, very important. Do always keep that somewhere where you can get very easily at it, right? Because you need to be able to quickly flip between weapons, systems, engines, balanced. Very, very important indeed. I guarantee you this will save your life in a fight. Easily. You use it all the time. Do not make the mistake of thinking you can go without mapping this control. You can't. You won't survive very long anyway if you do. So I have it on my little... I'll put a little picture-in-picture thing. I've just taken a little bit of video just to show you where I have it on my setup. And you might think, wow, that's a little bit of a prominent position. Yes, it is, because it is a very, 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 very important piece of equipment. So I just quickly shift between engines, balanced. If you move it to the bottom one, you just go back to balancing between weapons, engines and systems. Your systems, that will recharge your shields quicker and help your shield integrity. So it'll take your shields will take a lot more hits while it's focused on that. And you might think, well, all right, then I'll not worry too much about it. I'll just put it on that when I go into battle. No, you won't, because if you do that, it takes power away from your engines for a start, which means that you won't be able to move as fast. See, let's show you. Let us demonstrate. So there you go, look. Max power 175. Right? Now, if I take all the power off the engines and put it just on systems and weapons, it's even lower. There you go. 140 kph. So if you keep it all on systems, it'll take power away from your engines, and your thrusters and things like that will not work as well. Okay? If you... Let's not get too far away from the station. There's just a couple of other things I want to show you. Sorry, I keep moving down like this because when the sun is right on the dashboard there, it's difficult to see. So, let's balance that out again. If you put all your power into your engines, obviously you'll move a lot faster and your maneuverability will be better because it puts power to your thrusters and your engines at the same time, right? If you put it all in the weapons, your weapons will not overheat as fast. Okay, so your weapons won't overheat as fast, and believe me when I tell you, I'm sure you'll find out very fast that your energy weapons will heat up very, very quick indeed until you start getting really, really expensive ones further up. Okay, so during a battle, you will, trust me, I know it sounds complicated, it sounds difficult, it sounds like it more trouble than it's worth, but believe me, you'll need this. During a battle, you will be flicking backwards and forwards between these all the time. Okay, and it is necessary. So, you know, you put power, if you think that the guy, you know, you get him in a really good position and you think, right, I need to fire everything I've got at him, but my weapons keep overheating, and you're behind him, you're in a safe position, and he's not firing at you, and you've got a good position on him, switch it all over into the weapons and fire with everything you've got, okay? If he's getting the best of you, you might want to flick to your engines quickly and escape. Put more energy into your boost. Will recharge a lot faster, by the way, also, if you've got that balance on your engines. And if your shields are taking too many hits and you just can't get away, slap a load of it back in your systems until it recharges. Then turn back on him, flick it over. You know, you will need this. Flicking backwards and forwards between it. Very, very important. Put it somewhere important. You will not progress very far in battle without it. Now, next to that, you can see the fuel gauge there. Now, if we turn back to... Oop, I'm going in the wrong direction. If we turn back towards the station... Not heeding my own advice there, see? You can see the difference in manoeuvrability once the speed gets into that blue area. Oh, that's not the station. What am I doing? Haha. I was facing the right direction, after all. Not looking at my nav compass, you see? That's what happens when you don't pay attention to what's what. Now, just a little heads up, by the way, here. Let's thrust upwards. So let's just thrust upwards. Now your thruster is very, very handy indeed, especially in battle. You'll turn quicker. So if I just, like, for example, if I pull back on the throttle, right, if I pull back on the throttle and thrust, I'll be able to get a bead on that ship a lot faster than if I just pull back on the throttle, right? Likewise for going sideways and yaw, if you can circle the target. These are all very, very useful things, but I'll cover them at a later time. So, by the way, can you see the red lights blinking on the station there? Let's see if I can focus there. So you see the red lights blinking on top of the station? Okay. Right, red lights indicates that you're on the wrong side of the station. So red, and at the bottom there, can you just make out? But you probably can't see it. Let's go down. Wow. So this is where, you know, get some engine power, throw some boost on, you get there a lot quicker. There you go, see? It's always handy. It's not just in battle that these things turn out to be very handy. So, on this side, you can see the blue lights, or white lights, you know, whatever, blue, white. So, blue lights indicates that's the side where the docking bay is. Okay? Now, if you look by the fuel gauge that I was saying before, okay? So you look by the fuel gauge, you can see there's a little sort of wavy line above it there. Wiggling. If I get into a dark area, you'll be able to see it better there. So you can see that line sort of glowing there. That is your heat signature. Very important to keep an eye on your heat signature, because that is what will make you show up on the scanner. Now, there are various ways around this. You can switch to silent running.
Silent running.
There you go. We're on silent running. Shields are offline, though. That's the problem. Now, you will disappear temporarily from people's scanners, right? They can still see you if they look out the window, but you will disappear from people's scanners if you go to silent running. But if you look at the heat gauge, look, any second now, she'll tell me. Heat level's critical. Ooh, temperature critical. We're getting up, so, okay. So let's turn silent running off before I explode.
Thermal signature restored.
There you go, thermal signature restored. But now, of course, because that heat's built up, look at how that line has gone crazy. So when you come out of silent running, you'll pop up, you'll light up like a Christmas tree on people's scanners. That's the only problem with that. Now, the other way, if you want to sort of drift quietly to reduce your heat signature output, if you go over here and you go to modules, you can turn everything off individually. Let's turn the shield generator off. Multi-cannon, burst laser, cargo hatch, power distributor, life support. See what happens if you turn off life support? This is what happens if you turn off life support. So there you go. Okay. And there it says oxygen depleted in 4 minutes 44 seconds. You can improve your life support system, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be terribly important. Okay, 4 minutes 34 seconds, that's not important. When am I ever going to need that? Yes, well, you might. If your life support system takes some serious damage, you may well need this all of a sudden. Okay? And you'll need to get to a station. So even if you run from battle, if your life support system's damaged, you'll need to get to a station really quickly. And if you've only got 4 minutes to do that, you're going to struggle. So if you upgrade your life support system, you're going to have more oxygen in case that ever happens. Okay, so let's go back to that. Let's turn the life support back on at least. But now that I've turned a load of these things off, can you see what's happened to that little line above the fuel gauge? It has almost disappeared, and the reason that it has almost disappeared is because if you look now at the temperature is down at 16%. Okay, so we are not really showing up on people's scanners very much at the moment. The downside of that is if we do, we haven't got any shields to protect us. You know, if we turn all of these things off as well, it'll drop, you know, even more rapidly. You know, the temperature will, trust me, it will eventually start to drop even more than it already has. There you go, 15%, it'll start going down. Oops. Go back over there. Anyway, let's turn all these things back on. Multi-cannons, shield generator, thrusters, all necessary stuff. And then you can see my power usage is 96% of a possible 100, obviously. So these are the modules you turn on and off. Fire groups, very, very important. These very, very useful, you know, because you've only got 2 fire buttons. So, you know, if you've got things like your basic discovery scanner and kill warrant scanner, as I said, I'll show you those in a later video, but you'll need those mapped to a different thing entirely. There's my cargo hold. And the refinery next to it, I don't have a refinery installed, but you would need one. You'd need a mining laser and a refinery if you're going to do any mining, and I'll cover that in a later video as well. Now then, whoops. Oh, I don't know why that's... For some reason my headlock over to that side has stopped working. Maybe I did it when I was... So here we go, look. Interface brightness. So what we're going to do anyway is we're going to fly to our next destination. Now, you'll notice under the fuel gauge there it says there's a little blue lamp under mass locked. That means that I am too close to the station. So if I press the Super Cruise button now, I get nothing. Okay? Nothing at all, because I'm too close to the station. Mass locked, that's what it means. And likewise, hyperspace. There you go. Can't hyperspace. So I need to get far enough away from the station before I can do that. And if we look in our navigation, you'll be able to see that we are currently at Somerset Station is 5.5 kilometres away. Right, that's plenty far enough, so we'll be able to go there now. I mean, you can just look at the little blue button and see when that goes out. You look at the little blue lamp. So now we're going to hyperspace. Now hyperspace always takes, I think, is about 14 or 15 seconds to charge. Regardless, as long as you're not mass locked and you can activate it, it always takes 14 or 15 seconds to charge. Frameshift drive in system Super Cruise, not the same. I'll explain that in a moment. Now, what I advise people to do is as soon as you're in hyperspace, pull your throttle back to 0. Because when you drop out of hyperspace and you're in front of a star like that, it's not going to take very long before you get proximity warnings and your hull starts to heat up and you start to get impact warnings and things like that, and you start receiving damage. And all you've got to do is take your mind off what you're doing for 2 seconds and you're crashing into a star. Or, you know, it's going to say too close and it drops you out near the star and you've sustained damage as a result. So as soon as your hyperspace engages, throttle back. That is what I always do. You'll still drop out in Super Cruise, as we have. So we're going to go to Wall Drop Gateway to see the Empire and get my money. Okay. So just before we do that, let's just have another look over here on this panel. The things. So here you have your reputation window, right? I mean, you've got your basic combat rank, trade rank, explorer rank in there, okay? Your balance, obviously, that's your current credits. The rebuy cost, that's what your current ship with its current loadout will cost to rebuy if you get destroyed with everything that it's got. I don't have a bounty in this system, so that's 0. My local rep with this area is neutral, because I've only passed through here just once before. Over here you've got a more detailed rep, slightly neutral. These are the main factions: Federation, Empire and Alliance. The system factions here, Democrats, these are the local factions. tells you that I'm neutral with all of those as well. You can get more in-depth stuff, more in-depth information about how you fare with all the different in-system factions here on the right in that table there. That's just your basic information. That's pretty much the same as you've got down there in the bottom. I'm not entirely sure why that's there, to be perfectly honest. The only thing you don't have there is the ship insurance and the cargo insurance, I guess. Statistics, these are just your basic stats, you know. Oops. Give you an idea of how high you've got to go before you go. I'm only 2 ranks from the bottom on combat, even though I have claimed 118 bounties and I've gotten over 500,000 profit from those bounties. Permits, I have no region permits because I don't have a high enough reputation with any of the factions for them to have given me any permits for the region. But I do have a Sol System permit and a Founders World permit. Now you'll have a Sol System permit. You can earn that by improving your ranking with the Federation. You can earn a permit to enter the Sol System and go to Earth or whatever. As far as I know, you can't earn a Founders World permit. Not that I know of. I might be wrong about that. Somebody might be able to correct me. But as far as I know, you can't do that. That's just for Kickstarter backers and beta backers, I think. Alpha and beta backers. Here are your functions. Now, interface brightness, that's fairly self-explanatory. And most of these are fairly self-explanatory, you know, ship lights and so on. Silent running is in cruise mode. We're not silent running at the moment. Now here is a new thing though. Orbit lines. Now let's turn those off, right? So you can see no orbit lines, right? But if we turn those back on again, there you go. Now they are intrusive, but as I will explain when I do the exploration video, they can be extremely handy. Okay, so there are times when you'd want those switched on. Now we're in Super Cruise, so you'll see that our target scanner, our target information box there on the left hand side has altered. Now it says wall drop gateway, alignment, distance and speed. Okay, now you can pretty much ignore the alignment one most of the time. I don't think I've ever even given it more than a passing glance really. But the distance and speed, what you want is those needles that are dropping there, you want them both to be in the blue at the same time. In other words, the speed has to be at less than 1 megameter per second, and the distance from target has to be at less than 1 megameter before you can drop out safely out of Super Cruise at close enough. Now, this can be a problem because if you accelerate, when you come out and you say, oh, that's so far away, I'll just whack on the speed, right? Then you'll get a warning here, which will say, slow down, like that. But by the time you get that warning, it's too late. See, I've throttled all the way back now, and still, I'm flying past it. Okay? So that's what happens. So by the time you get that warning, it's a bit too late. So try, when you're heading towards something, once you've accelerated, try to keep that in the blue or just below. And if you do it just below, what will happen is that the ship's computer will automatically compensate, and it will start decreasing your speed as you get within distance of it. Now, to make sure you don't get mass locked, if you fly too close to a planet on your way to somewhere, so let's say that wall drop gateway is on the other side of the planet, right? If you fly straight at the planet and just skim around the edge of it to get there, you're going to get mass locked on the way there, which is going to mean that your speed is going to be reduced dramatically, and there's not going to be anything you can do about it. You just have to wait until you escape the gravity of that planet or whatever. So it's always better when you're approaching to spiral in from one side, okay? So that you're approaching it from the back, so that the planet, in other words, so that the station is between you and the moon or the planet, okay? So that you haven't got to go past the planet to get to it. That way you avoid losing lots and lots of time in mass lock, only doing like 300 kph or something. Or 300, I guess 300 kilometers per second would be more like it, so, you know, kps. But that's still pretty slow when you're talking about these sort of things. So, yeah. So you can see the speed dropping, see the needles dropping, and when those needles are both in the blue, we'll get a little thing on the dash that will say safe disengage ready. And when that happens, we can press our frameshift button and we'll drop out of Super Cruise. And go a little bit faster than that. There we go. Once it gets below 1 megameter, so here we go. Bing, there we go. Safe disengage ready. Both needles are in the blue, and you just press it to drop out. Boom. They've made this a lot smoother now. Here we go. Now this is an Imperial station. So this is where, you see, do you hear that? Deep, deep. That's me adjusting my, see, I just do it automatically, just, and the boost. Don't need, you know, I'm not in battle, I'm not likely to get into battle unless I start firing at the station here, so, you know, there's no real reason not to have the boost on, as long as you remember to reset it. Now, once you get within 7.5 kilometers, I mean, we're well within that. We're within 2 kilometers. But once you get within 7 kilometers, you need to go into your contacts menu, pick the station, and request docking.
Docking request granted.
Ah, now this is a good opportunity to show you something because they've given me landing pad 16. Now, there are 2 landing pads that ideally you never want to get, but especially if you're on a smuggler's run and you're flying into the space station at really high speed. And those 2 are 16 and 13. 13, obviously, 13 is very well named because these 2 are right inside the door. So there you go. Watch your nav compass. There you go. It's pointing the way. If you can't find it, just line your nav compass up with the target there, so the blue dot is in the middle. Drop your landing gear before she gives you a warning, which she probably will anyway. How? Because I did it too late.
Landing gear deployed.
Oh no, just made it. There we go. So then, here we go. Maneuver over that position. Whoops. Now, I have only so many buttons on my HOTAS setup. But so, you know, I don't have the forward and backward thrusters mapped anywhere. So when I'm out in space, I can't thrust forward and backwards. I have to use the engines because I simply don't have enough buttons on my HOTAS setup. But it is very handy for adjusting once you're here, and you can, in those controls where you map your controls, you can configure landing overrides. So here, see, look, thrusters. I've got forward and backward thrusters, which I don't have outside because apparently someone's making a big mistake. Look. Because you can set landing overrides, which means that once you're in this beep, 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 once you're over the pad, your controls will be overridden and mapped to something else, whatever you choose them to be. So you can set landing overrides.
Engines disengaged.
Boom! Right, so this tutorial has gone on way too long. I've rambled quite a lot. So what I'm going to do now is just show you how we collect our little bounty here. So the amount of money I've got in my thing will almost double when I collect these. So I've been collecting bounties all over the place, but I've not been anywhere near an Empire system yet. So Empire, the symbol of the Empire, very sinister. So here you go. We just go over here, press refuel. We haven't expended any ammunition, so we don't need to reload. And we haven't been shot at or made any major mistakes crashing into asteroids or anything. So we don't need to repair. But if we go to the contacts, and we go down to the local security office, and see, there you go, redeem bounty vouchers. So they owe me 75,850 credits. And once I click that, you'll see my balance on the left-hand side there raise. Confirm. Beep, there you go, over 200,000 credits now. Simple as that. Well, it wasn't simple, there was a lot of fighting along the way, but, you know. Obviously, as I said with Unicar before, we're still not far enough away to trade this in. We've got to get over 20 light years away before it's worth anything to anybody. As long as you keep travelling around, you keep scanning things as you go, every now and again you'll come across, you know, you'll be far enough away that you can trade a load of information in at once and you know, make a lot of money. So it's nice. It's like money in the bank when you explore. It's and it's also, you know, it's a lot of the things that you find out there when you explore. You get into all sorts of trouble sometimes. That's your comms panel, by the way, if you hadn't gathered that already. Any communications from between you and other players, or between you and NPCs, or just between NPCs and local security and things like that will appear there in the comms. Any local comms that have, you know, appeared on the scopes there. So that's it for now. There we go, turn the ship lights on. I have mine hotkeyed, but that's one of the things in the functions pad that you can have on. Quite a handy thing when you're mining to have your lights, but other than that I've had no real use for them other than that, to be perfectly honest. But other than that, that's it. We'll wrap it up. This second half of this training has gone on way too long, but I'm sure, having said that, it's a very, very long-winded, very complicated game, so I'm sure I've missed one or two things. I just want to thank, by the way, all my regular viewers that I have, people like Paul Rhodes and Marcus Hicks, and people like that watch these videos regularly and comment on them and like on them. You know, comments and likes, that's what we want. If you have any comments, helpful ones, please, if you don't mind, you know, constructive criticism. We're not here for abuse, chaps. But if you have any comments, or you know, anything that I really forgot, or anything you want to know, please feel free to sort of, you know, make a comment, leave a comment below, and I'll answer it if I can. If you've got an idea for a particular kind of training video that you want me to make, and I think it's a particularly good idea, I'll make it for you if I can. I have lots of other things to do, and I'm moving back to I'm in Sweden at the moment. I'm moving back to the United Kingdom permanently in just a little over a month, so I am going to be rather busy, but I'll try to make videos if there's anything in particular you want to see. Other than that, if you want to follow me on Facebook, you can go to Facebook and put in your search bar, if you just search for Sleepless Night, our channel will come up there, and you'll know it's ours because it'll have the little symbol that you can see in the top right corner of your screen now, the little Sleepless Night symbol. And if you click on that here, you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can tweet me at SleeplessTwit. And if you want to read my blog posts, as I said, I did one, an extensive one talking about Elite and where Elite is going in the future. You can check that out on my blog at sleeplessblog.wordpress.com. So I will, in the next week or so, I will post a video on here about exploration, and I will post one about bounty hunting, and then there'll be others to come. But as I said, then it'll start getting quite busy because I've got a big move coming up. So yeah, but this was really just for people, I guess, who are just getting into the Elite, since the launch day was last week. And you know, obviously we're going to have people getting Elite Dangerous for Christmas as well. You know, the beta backers, alpha backers, you know, Kickstarter backers like myself, we have seen the game develop from a position where there really wasn't much you could do. So, you know, we didn't really have to learn all of this at once. We just kind of picked it up as the developers came out with it. So we sometimes forget that having all of it dropped on you at once is probably quite baffling. It would have been it would have been to me. I'm glad I didn't have to do it that way. But that's all for the time being. I've rambled on far too long. So if you want to see more videos, you want me to post more training videos or videos about anything else, another live action video, the Sleepless Night Saga, should be coming up soon, around about the new year. And if you want to see anything else, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. That's all for me. I'm going now. Goodbye.